Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to jump into this one with you. Today, we're going to completely deconstruct the art and science of the sales pitch. Now look, if you hear the phrase sales pitch and immediately picture some sleazy, high-pressure manipulation tactics, I need you to just wipe that from your mind right now. We are reframing this topic entirely. Think of today as a masterclass in structured problem solving and incredibly effective communication. We're going to break down exactly how to read people, how to build an undeniable argument, and most importantly, how to create genuine, lasting value. Let's get into it. So, right off the bat, I want to pose a pretty provocative question. What makes a presentation as important as the product itself? We so often assume that a great product is just going to sell itself, right? But the source material makes a really critical point here. The packaging, the conspicuous display, the actual delivery of the information, all of that acts as a silent salesman. If your presentation doesn't clear up doubts or perfectly align the product's attributes with what the customer actually needs, well, even the greatest product in the world is just going to gather dust on a shelf. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. We're covering 1. Anatomy of a pitch. 2. Tools and presentation types. 3. The 4 steps of selling. 4. Reading your prospect. 5. Winning strategies. And we'll wrap it all up with 6. A real-world look at Eureka Forbes. Section 1. Anatomy of a pitch. The science of selling. First things first, let's lock down the actual meaning of a sales presentation and demonstration. Technically, it's a persuasive, verbal, and visual explanation, but the absolute most crucial part of this definition is the end goal, creating a perfect fit between what the product does and what the customer needs. A truly successful pitch is never a monologue. Actually, scratch that, it shouldn't even feel like a pitch. It's a two-way communication channel. By focusing entirely on the prospect's actual interests, a great salesperson creates a surprisingly low-pressure environment. It is all about facilitating a choice, not forcing one. So, what are the absolute essentials of a good presentation? Well, it goes way beyond just talking. It involves highly visible placement and that aesthetic packaging we mentioned, our silent salesman, that naturally draws the buyer's eye. But check out that third point, deep knowledge of competitors. This is a big one. A pro never, ever openly trashes a competitor. Instead, you use that deep knowledge to quietly, confidently highlight why your solution is better. And finally, you have to hit the Goldilocks zone of variety. Show too many options, and you totally paralyze the buyer. Too few, and they can't make a satisfying choice. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates how high the global stakes are when you're customizing these essentials. Look at these historical global sales nuances. When Electrolux expanded into Southeast Asia, they initially pushed vacuum cleaners for fine carpets. But in China, they had to completely pivot to floor polishers to actually match local home preferences. Or take the Moscow Bread Company back in the 90s. They were literally losing a third of their unwrapped bread to waste. The fix? A simple presentation change. Just wrapping it in plastic saved the product. And in Japan, car buyers fully expected deep, face-to-face trust-building meetings at home, which totally frustrated foreign companies who just wanted to open giant showrooms. It just goes to show, presentation absolutely must adapt to cultural norms. Moving right along to Section 2, Tools and Presentation Types, Customizing the Approach. Historically, you do a presentation with some paper brochures and maybe a clunky slide projector. Today, obviously, we've seen a massive digital shift. We're talking 3D e-commerce models where you can spin a product around from every angle, interactive video conferencing, the works. But the source material drops a really stern warning here that we have to pay attention to. All this flashy technology totally fails if it doesn't foster a genuine human relationship. The salespeople who are actually winning out there are using a judicious blend of high-tech tools alongside a really high-touch personal connection. Now, there is a pretty stark contrast between the types of presentations you can give. On one side, you have canned presentations. These are your standardized, rigid, highly repeatable scripts. And they're actually great for beginners or for selling standard retail products where the pitch just needs to be perfectly self-explanatory. But as a salesperson levels up, especially in complex business-to-business or B2B environments, they shift to tailored presentations. Think of this like buying a custom-tailored suit versus buying off the rack. They are highly flexible, totally client-specific proposals designed to win over entire buying committees. Section 3. The 4 steps of selling, a sequential logic. Regardless of whether you're using a canned script or a custom proposal, there are 4 sequential steps that are an absolute prerequisite for making a sale. Step 1, attracting attention. You got to appeal to the prospect's 5 senses with a great display. Step 2, creating interest by detailing the actual benefits. Step 3, arousing desire. This is the pivot. This is where you elevate that logical interest into emotional satisfaction, proving you can fulfill a deep need. And finally, step 4, building conviction. You answer objections, toss in warranties, and drop references so the prospect feels 100% safe saying yes. You really can't skip a step here. Section 4, reading your prospect. The art of selling. Now here's where it gets fun. If you misread the human being sitting across from you, you're going to fail. Let's look at a few classic prospect categories. We've all met these people, right? If you've got a skeptical prospect who questions everything, keep your pitch conservative. Don't give them a million tiny details to pick apart. What about a talkative prospect? You got to listen to their stories for sure, but firmly and politely steer them back on track. Got an impulsive, impatient buyer? Put your foot on the gas, hit the highlights, and close. But if they're methodical, pump the brakes, go slow, hand over the data, and just wait. The real art here is in the adaptation. Section 5, winning strategies, adapting to the room. A great salesperson has an entire toolkit of strategies to draw from. You might use the consultative strategy for highly technical stuff, working like a partner to find a problem-solving solution. Or maybe need identification, where you're practically playing psychologist to uncover their lifestyle traits before you even pitch. But the holy grail? That final bullet right there, depth selling. A master uses depth selling to seamlessly blend all of these strategies together, pivoting in real time depending on how the client is reacting. It is literally the ultimate combination of art and science. Section 6. Let's take this into the real world with Eureka Forbes, a masterclass in action. So Eureka Forbes launched in 1982 and became an absolute powerhouse in India's direct selling market, mostly famous for their AquaGuard water purifiers. Their secret weapon wasn't just the product, it was their salespeople, famously called Eurochamps. These folks were incredibly enthusiastic, extroverted communicators, but their defining philosophy is what makes them a perfect case study. They fundamentally believed that a relationship doesn't die when you make a sale. The relationship actually begins with the sale. That intense focus on customer relationship management turned a simple door-to-door pitch into an engine for lifelong brand loyalty. Let's map their exact daily workflow right onto the theory we just talked about. Step 1, prospecting. Finding leads who actually have the need, budget, and authority. Step 2, the approach, where they break the ice. Step 3, the presentation and demo. And they literally treated this as a storytelling stage to paint a vivid picture for the customer. Step 4, handling objections by flipping them into reasons to buy. Step 5, the close. And then, crucially, Step 6, follow-up. They made sure the installation was perfect to kill any buyer's remorse and maintain that brand new relationship. It's the textbook perfectly executed. Which brings us to our final thought for today. The true art and science of the sales pitch isn't just about moving units. It's about connecting a real, tangible solution to a genuine human need. By structuring your info clearly, reading the psychology of the room, and focusing heavily on long-term value, you aren't just selling anymore, you're solving. So as you gear up for your next big communication opportunity, whatever it might be, ask yourself, are you ready to turn a simple pitch into a lasting relationship? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.